Hi. So today the subject that I want to explore is suffering. And part of this is coming from this Piscean cycle that we're in. With Pisces opening us up to the mystical heart, there's always the suffering that we come into close contact with. And my exploration today wants to be around how do we relate to suffering? And I feel like there's these distinctions, and I have like a story to tell for each of these between consciously relating to our suffering and then unconsciously relating to our suffering. This is a huge difference for me. And so 2 weeks ago or so, I posted a video online that was me consciously navigating shadow and wounding. I had just like plunged into some suffering, but in this journey it was like, whoa, I saw it coming. I was aware, I was awake, and I was able to breathe through these big swells of incredible emotional energy that moved through me, but I was aware, and that felt like the conscious version. And I didn't think about that really at the time until just a few days ago, I found myself in the pit of suffering and sort of just stuck, yuck, muck, no fun. And after I came through the other side of it, I looked back and I was like, wow, that was really a lot of unconscious patterns at play, my unconscious relationship to suffering. And it's almost like when waves of challenge come, sometimes I'm not awake, I'm not aware, I don't see it coming, and so I get swept underneath that wave. And then I'm at the mercy of my past conditioning to protect myself from pain. And so I made this art piece today. In fact, this is like the first art I have made in a long time. I've been painting with Bija, and actually like the painting part of this is totally like little kids watercolor on like just regular paper. So it feels very amateur, but I love the inner charcoal drawing, and the contrast here is that what inspired this was what it felt like to basically sink into a hole. So when I have unconscious patterns with suffering, what happens for me often is I collapse and I fall into a hole. And this is my hole. And it's actually kind of like a womb. But the distinction of this hole is that I start to be in these unconscious patterns of protecting myself from letting the pain in and feeling pain. And that's all these little shards that like I'm just trying to find safety. I feel really like vulnerable and yucky, but I'm basically have all of these patterns. So what they are for me is self-judgment. I'm pissed at my state. I'm resisting feeling. I know that I'm off, but I'm not going into it. I'm just in a and so I'm in avoidance, and I'm in all these distractions. I start to have unhealthy eating patterns, and I'm basically just hating myself inside. And I realized, wow, these are all just how I protected myself from having to feel suffering when I was young. And when I'm unconscious, that's what I fall back on. And when I'm aware, there's this grace. And so what is it that leads me to finally letting that heart in, letting the suffering in, letting the pain in, feeling it? There's a number of things that support me. There's safety. There's knowing that I'm not being trying to be fixed, or I have to slow down. And there's always a turning point, a pivotal turning point, where for whatever reason, whether it's a conversation with someone, this last time it was a circle of women that I got to express with and they got to witness me. Or just my own meditation practice. Like finally I hit a rock bottom and I'm like, screw it, I'm sitting down and I'm meditating and I'm going to breathe into this, or whatever it is. There's a shift. And then I get to come into a place where ultimately it seems like every time I feel gratitude for the lessons that I got to learn through that process, and that I get to feel grateful for life, for giving me these opportunities to get deeper and deeper into these patterns, to then be able to open up to more and more of my true nature, my essence, and its creative service in the world. So this painting I just wanted to share with you today as an artful expression of what it feels like to suffer unconsciously at the mercy of the patterns that try to protect us, and versus the field of incredible compassion and trust and beauty and the realness and beauty and the healing and beauty in the suffering that surrounds us and is asking to move through us at all times. And that alchemy of letting it in and moving it through our being is so part of what this journey is so all about. So thank you for being here, and yeah, just being present with some personal experience on my end of how I relate to suffering, and perhaps you can ask that question for yourself and find some greater awareness in your process. So much love in these deep, watery, feeling times. Love you.